The night my wife dressed for another man, it wasn't the black dress or the guilty look in her eyes that exposed her. It was her perfume, the expensive bottle I had given her in Paris, the one she only wore when she wanted to be irresistible. The moment I smelled it, I knew her girls' night was a lie, but she had no idea I would uncover every secret before she came home. The scent hit me the moment she walked past. Subtle, expensive, unmistakable. I looked up from my laptop and studied her. Her black dress stopped halfway down her thighs and hugged curves I knew by memory. Loose waves fell across her bare shoulders. Her makeup was flawless, with smoky eyes and burgundy lips. She looked gorgeous, but also dressed for something important. "Girls' night?" I asked, keeping my voice calm. She searched through her purse without looking at me. "Yeah, Tessa's birthday thing, remember? I told you last week." I remembered. But she had described a casual dinner at an Italian restaurant and said she would wear jeans. The woman in front of me was not dressed for a relaxed meal with friends. "You look beautiful," I said. She finally glanced at me. Something crossed her face for a second. Maybe guilt, maybe nerves. Then it vanished behind a practiced smile. "Thanks, babe. Don't wait up. Tessa always stays out late on her birthday." I nodded and looked back at the screen. "Have fun. Tell Tessa I said happy birthday." "I will." She took her keys from the hook, paused, then walked over to my chair. Her kiss landed quickly on my cheek, more from habit than affection. That perfume surrounded me again. "Love you." "Love you too." I listened as her heels tapped across the hardwood. Her keys jingled, the door shut softly, and a moment later her car started. I heard it back out of the driveway and fade down the street. For 5 minutes I sat motionless, staring at nothing. We had been married 8 years, and together for 11. I believed I knew her better than anyone. I knew she touched her ear when she lied. I knew she avoided my eyes when hiding something, and I knew she wore that perfume when she wanted to feel irresistible. During the last 3 months, she had changed. At first, the signs were small. She went to the gym more often and came home later from work. Her phone never left her hand, not even in the bathroom. She smiled at messages, then closed them when I entered the room. In bed, she became distant. She still went through the motions, but her mind was elsewhere. I blamed stress. She had recently earned a promotion, which meant more pressure, more duties, and longer hours. I tried to be patient and supportive. I kept telling myself I was paranoid and insecure. But that perfume, that damn perfume. I opened Google on my laptop. My hands hovered above the keyboard before I typed, "Private investigators near me." Dozens of names filled the screen. I chose the first company with strong reviews, Ketteridge and Associates. Their page promised discreet, professional service, 24 hours a day. Before I could change my mind, I called. "Ketteridge and Associates, Wesley speaking." "Hi, I need to hire someone. Tonight, if possible." "What kind of investigation do you need?" I hesitated. The answer felt strange in my mouth. "Infidelity. I think my wife is cheating on me." "I'm sorry, sir. We can help. I have an investigator available to begin surveillance right away. Can you give me the details?" I told him everything. The make and model of her car, the plate number, what she looked like, and where she claimed she was going. Wesley listened calmly and wrote it all down. "We'll have someone following her within the hour. They'll document tonight with photos, video, and locations. You'll receive a preliminary report by morning." "How much?" He named a price that would have bothered me a month earlier. Now it sounded cheap. The truth was worth more than money. "Do it." When the call ended, I sat alone in the quiet house. Our wedding picture rested on the mantel, both of us smiling back at me. I could almost hear her laugh. I thought about the home we had made and the future we had planned. Then I wondered exactly when it had all become a lie. I didn't sleep. How could I? I stayed in my office while the wall clock counted the hours. 11 p.m., midnight, 1 a.m. My phone sat on the desk, dark and silent. At 2:47 a.m., it buzzed. Wesley from Ketteridge and Associates had sent a message. Subject arrived at the Meridian Hotel downtown at 8:35 p.m. She met a man about 6'1", with dark hair and an athletic build. They entered room 412. Subject remains inside. Continue surveillance? I stared until the words blurred. Room 412. She had been in a hotel room with another man for over 6 hours. My hand stayed steady as I replied. Yes. Record everything. Photos, video, dates, times, all of it. Understood. Full report. By 8 a.m. I put my phone down and entered our bedroom. Her side of the bed was empty, the covers still perfectly made. I checked her nightstand, tissues, lotion, and the novel she was reading. Nothing strange. Then I searched her dresser, feeling like a stranger in my own house. At the back of the bottom drawer, beneath old sweaters, my fingers touched something hard. A second phone. My heart pounded as I pulled out an older iPhone, one she could easily call a forgotten device. I pressed the power button. Dead. Of course. She had been careful. I took it to my office and plugged it in. While it charged, I made coffee before sunrise. The house no longer felt like home. It felt like a stage, every detail arranged to create the illusion of a happy marriage. How long had I lived inside that illusion? When the phone turned on, there was no passcode. That surprised me until I understood. She never expected me to find it. Hundreds of messages appeared, going back 4 months. Everyone went to the same contact. E. Miss you already. Can't wait for Saturday. I'm still thinking about what you did with your tongue. He's working late again. Can you come over? I think I'm falling for you. Each message felt like a knife between my ribs. I read them all while my coffee went cold. There were photos, too. Her in lingerie I had never seen. Her inside what looked like E's apartment. Her laughing across a restaurant table, her head thrown back. At 6:30 a.m., her car pulled into the driveway. I locked the phone, set it aside, and forced myself to stay calm. Her key turned in the front door, followed by footsteps in the hallway. She appeared in my office doorway, still in the black dress. It was wrinkled now, her makeup was smeared, and her hair was messy. "You're up early," she said. I heard nervousness beneath her casual tone. "Couldn't sleep." "How was girls' night?" She stretched and yawned. "Good. Tessa drank way too much, so I stayed at her place instead of driving home." Thoughtful. "Yeah. Safety first." She smiled, but it never reached her eyes. "I'm going to shower and get some sleep." "Sounds good." I watched her leave and listened as the shower started. Then I picked up the hidden phone and opened the newest message. Sent at 2:15 a.m. I hate lying to him, but being with you feels so right. 3 more months, and I can ask for a divorce. Then we can finally be together. 3 more months. She had already planned her exit. She was only waiting for the right time, probably after the holidays, or after my work bonus arrived. She would prepare, talk to a lawyer, and figure out how to take the largest settlement possible. My phone buzzed. The email from Ketteridge and Associates arrived on schedule. I opened it and downloaded the attachments. Photo after photo filled the screen. Her car entering the Meridian, her greeting a tall, dark-haired man in the lobby, his hand resting low on her back. The two of them entering an elevator, each image time-stamped. The last photo was grainy but clear enough, taken from across the street through a hotel window. Her shadow against the curtains. His beside her, embracing, kissing. The report covered everything. The investigator had traced the man's license plate from the hotel garage. Everett Vaughn, 34, personal trainer at Elite Fitness, the same gym my wife had started visiting 4 times a week. It was such a cliché. I almost laughed. The report also included bank records from some early digging. She had opened a credit card behind my back and used it at hotels, restaurants, and laundry shops during the last 4 months. I saved every file to the cloud, copied it to a USB drive, and printed hard copies. Then I placed the photos, messages, statements, and full report inside a manila folder. By the time she left the shower in a towel and went to bed, I had already contacted a divorce lawyer. For the next week, I played the clueless husband perfectly. I kissed her goodbye each morning, asked about her day, and suggested watching our favorite show. I stayed warm, loving, and completely normal. Meanwhile, I was taking our life apart with the calm precision of a surgeon. My attorney, Marlene Prescott, was sharp and extremely helpful. "You already have what we need," she said at our first meeting while reviewing the evidence. "The affair is obvious, and so is the financial deception. That matters in this state. We can move fast if that's what you want." "I want it finished," I said. "Fast and clean." We went over our assets. The house carried both our names and had been purchased before the wedding. But I had paid the down payment with inherited money. I had documents proving it. Marlene believed we had a strong case for me to keep the house. Our savings were shared, but she could trace what each of us had contributed. My wife would receive something, but nowhere near what she expected when she began planning her escape. I also followed Marlene's advice to protect myself. I opened a separate account and redirected my paychecks. I recorded every shared expense and every bill I paid, building a clear paper trail. I changed passwords on all important accounts and quietly spoke with HR about removing her from my insurance and benefits. I became careful, organized, and emotionless. At night, she lay beside me, either sleeping or pretending to. I felt nothing. The man who had loved her for 11 years died the second I smelled that perfume. What remained was colder and harder, a man who knew feelings were now a luxury he couldn't afford. She became less cautious. She had 2 more girls' nights that week, and the investigator followed both. Same hotel, same man, same lies when she returned. She also got careless with the secret phone. I checked it whenever she showered or left the house. Her messages with Everett grew more intense. "I can't wait until this is over, and I don't need to hide. You're my future. He's only my past refusing to let go. I never knew I could feel so alive." Every message made my decision easier. She wasn't confused or torn. She had chosen him months earlier. Now she was only using me while waiting for the perfect moment to destroy my life. I decided to move first. Thursday evening, she announced another night out. "Some people from work are getting drinks tomorrow. It's a team-building thing." "Sounds fun," I said from the couch. "You don't mind?" "Why would I?" Relief spread across her face. "Great. I'll probably be late." "I'm sure you will." Something in my voice made her study me, but I kept my face blank and watched the television. After a few seconds, she shrugged and walked away. Friday morning, while she was actually at work, I went to the bank. I withdrew half our joint savings, which was legally mine, and moved it into my new account. I closed the shared credit cards, removed her from my car insurance, and changed the locks on the house. I kept the old keys in my pocket. Then I went home and began packing. Not everything, only what I needed. I packed clothes, toiletries, and every important document. Then I loaded everything into my car, which I had parked farther down the street. The house legally belonged to both of us until the divorce ended. But I had no intention of being there when she returned with another lie. I planned to stay with my brother. Grant had already agreed. Before leaving, I had one last scene to arrange. I went back inside and cleaned the house until it was spotless. I ordered her favorite takeout, placed it in the refrigerator, and left a note. Thought you might be hungry when you get home. Read. I set the dining table for one plate, one napkin, one glass of wine, already poured. In the middle, I placed the manila folder. It had grown thick with evidence. There were photos of her and Everett entering the hotel, leaving together and kissing inside his car. I included printed copies of their messages, statements from her secret credit card, and phone records showing hundreds of calls and texts to him. The investigator's report documented every girls' night and work drink from the last 2 weeks. On top of the folder, I placed her copy of the divorce petition, already filed with the court. Beside it sat her hidden phone, fully charged, and opened to her conversation with Everett. The final item was a handwritten message on our wedding stationery. You only wore that perfume for me. That's how I knew. You're free to be with Everett now. My lawyer will contact you. Do not contact me. You're the past. I looked around the house one last time. The wedding pictures, the furniture we had chosen together, the life I thought we had built. For months, none of it had been real. I picked up my keys and left. I was at Grant's apartment 3 miles away when my phone began blowing up. The first call came at 9:47 p.m. I let it go to voicemail. Then came another, and another. Messages followed. Please answer. We need to talk. This isn't what it looks like. Please. I silenced the phone and poured myself a whiskey. Grant sat across from me at the kitchen table, watching with concern. You okay, man? I'm fine. You don't look fine. I took a long drink. I've had better nights, but I'll survive. The phone kept flashing and vibrating silently between us. 20 calls became 30. Then 47 messages. She was falling apart, and a small, bitter part of me enjoyed it. At 10:15 p.m., she changed tactics. An email appeared. I know you're angry, and you have every right to be. But please let me explain. It isn't what the pictures make it seem like. Everett and I are only friends. Please come home so we can discuss this like adults. Only friends. I nearly laughed. I forwarded the email to Marlene with one short message. For the file. At 11:30 p.m., Grant's doorbell rang. We both turned toward the door. You think it's... Grant began. Probably. He stood. Want me to tell her to leave? No, I'll deal with it. I walked over and checked the peephole. She stood outside in sweatpants and a hoodie. Her hair was tied back, and her face was red and swollen from crying. She looked small and helpless. She was always good at that. I opened the door, but stayed in the entrance, blocking her from coming inside. You changed the locks, she said through her tears. I did. The bank account is frozen. None of my cards work. I took my half. Your half is still available. Our savings. Half of our savings, I corrected. Legally, I had every right to take it. My attorney confirmed that. Her face collapsed. Please, can we talk? Just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I leaned against the frame and crossed my arms. You can talk from there. She wiped her cheeks and tried to steady herself. This isn't what you think. I think you've been sleeping with your personal trainer for 4 months. I think you planned to divorce me after the holidays and after my year-end bonus arrived. Am I wrong? Her mouth opened, then closed. It just happened. I never planned it. But you kept doing it. Dozens of times. Hotels, his apartment, maybe even our house while I worked. I haven't proven that part yet, but the investigator probably can. Investigator? Her voice broke. You don't get to keep secrets anymore. Not after this. Tears ran down her face. I made a terrible mistake. A huge one. But I love you. I've always loved you. Everett was just new and exciting, and I got carried away. It meant nothing. Your messages tell a different story. You're my future. He's only my past hanging on. Remember writing that? She flinched. You read my messages. Everyone! That phone was private. It wasn't hidden well enough. That's a violation of what? Our vows. You already handled that. My voice stayed quiet and almost casual. That seemed to scare her more than shouting would have. Here's what happens next. You leave. You contact me only through our attorneys. The divorce petition has already been filed, and you were legally served. I documented the affair, the hidden spending, and every lie. This is insane. You're acting insane. Am I? When were you going to tell me? After Christmas? After meeting with a lawyer and figuring out how to get the biggest settlement? After moving money around and finding some way to make me look responsible? She stayed silent. That was enough of an answer. I saved you the effort, I continued. Now you can be with Everett without pretending anymore. You're free. Isn't that what you wanted? I don't want a divorce. I want us to fix this. There's nothing left to fix. It broke months ago. I just didn't know it yet. Please. She reached toward me, but I stepped away. I'll end things with Everett right now. I'll do anything, counseling, therapy, whatever you want. Just don't do this. I searched her face for honesty, but found only panic. She didn't want me back. She wanted control. She needed time to protect her money, reshape the story, make me the villain, and present herself as a neglected wife who had been pushed away. I had heard the same story from divorced friends. The details changed, but the script never did. No, I said. What do you mean, no? No therapy, no second chance, no trying again. You made your decision months ago. Now I'm making mine. You can't throw away 8 years of marriage. I'm not throwing anything away. You already did. I stepped back and started closing the door. Goodbye, don't come here again. Wait. I shut the door and locked it. 3 months later, I sat across from Marlene Prescott for the last time. The judge approved everything, she said, sliding the documents toward me. You keep the house. The savings are divided equally, as agreed. She keeps her car, and you keep yours. There's no alimony because of the documented affair and the length of the marriage. It's finished. I picked up the papers and stared at the official stamp. 8 years of marriage had ended with one signature. That's it? That's it. You're officially divorced. I expected relief, sadness, maybe anger. Instead, I felt a quiet sense of closure. The wound had already healed. This was only the final stitch being removed. She tried to fight it, Marlene continued. Her lawyer complained about the private investigator and called it an invasion of privacy. But she used marital money to fund the affair and opened secret credit cards, so the judge had little sympathy. Honestly, this was one of the cleanest cases I've handled in years. Because she was careless. And because you were thorough. Marlene smiled. Most people let emotions control them. They confront too soon, attempt reconciliation, or make threats they can't support. You waited, collected proof, and acted decisively. That's unusual. I shrugged. I just wanted it finished. And now it was. She had removed her belongings shortly after I changed the locks. I gave her 1 day to collect everything while I stayed with Grant. She took her clothes, personal items, and some furniture. The rest remained. Afterward, I erased every sign of her from the house. New paint, new bedding, different pictures on the walls. It finally felt like mine again. During the first few weeks, she tried contacting me several times. I forwarded her emails to Marlene without reading them and blocked her texts. Once she came to my workplace, and security escorted her outside. Eventually, she understood. I heard through people who used to be our mutual friends that she and Everett lasted less than a month. Apparently, once their relationship was no longer secret or exciting, reality disappointed them. She moved in with her sister, accepted another job in a different city, and began again, just like I did. "What happens now?" Marlene asked as she gathered her papers. "I honestly don't know." I stood and shook her hand. "But I'll figure it out." When I left her office and stepped into the bright afternoon sun, I felt lighter than I had in months. The anger that carried me through the divorce had faded. In its place was something calmer. Acceptance, maybe. Peace. My phone buzzed. It wasn't her. It would never be her again. Grant wanted to know if I felt like getting dinner. I replied yes and headed toward my car. That evening I met my brother and a few friends at a bar. Someone asked whether I had started dating. "Not yet," I said. "Maybe soon?" "Good for you. You deserve someone better." I thought about that. Did I deserve better? Maybe. More importantly, I had learned what I deserved: honesty, loyalty, and someone who wouldn't hide behind perfume and lies. Someone who chose me every day, not only when it was convenient. 2 weeks later, I accepted a coffee date with Brielle from accounting. She had asked me out with an awkward nervousness I found charming. The date went well enough for a second one, then a third. I wasn't in love, and I wasn't certain I was ready to be, but I was open to whatever might happen. 6 months after the divorce, I sold the house. It held too many memories and too many ghosts. I bought a smaller modern condo across town with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the skyline. I chose every piece of furniture myself. Each one reflected the man I was becoming instead of the man I used to be. On the anniversary of the night I hired the investigator, I took myself to an expensive restaurant. I ordered good wine, a perfect steak, and chocolate cake. I raised my glass to survival, strength, and fresh beginnings. I remembered the man I had been 1 year earlier, sitting in his office at 3 a.m. while proof of his wife's betrayal appeared on the screen. That man had been crushed, confused, and lost. But he had also been smart enough to take action, brave enough to walk away, and strong enough to rebuild. Sometimes late at night, I wondered whether she still thought about me, whether she regretted what she had destroyed, whether Everett had been worth it. Most nights, I didn't wonder at all. I learned that some people enter your life only long enough to teach you something important. She taught me that love means nothing without trust. Actions matter more than promises. And I was stronger than I ever realized. Those lessons cost me dearly, but they were worth the price. That perfume told me everything I needed to know. The rest was only proof. And finally, I was free.